Hello and welcome to Intimacy Evolution. I am Brianna Carey, one half of this show that I co-host with my husband, Mark. Thanks for joining us today. I am super excited to introduce today's guest. We have mentioned her a few times on previous episodes. Mark and I have met her in person and have gotten to experience her impact in more than one way. I am talking about Miss Kimi Inch, professional dominatrix. And if you have been around for a while and heard our recap of our couples retreat last April, you might recall that I have been flogged by this stunning human. She was also at the men's retreat Mark went to in November, where there were 30 men flogging each other, learning how to embrace their vulnerability. And Kimi briefly mentions that today as well and what that experience was like. Kimi has had 20 years of experience as a dominatrix, but her expertise go far beyond that. She is also a trauma-informed somatic therapist, a sex-positive edutainer, and a motivational spanker. I love that so much. She is dedicated to expanding the definition of sex, bringing the world more pleasure, and inviting people to learn what's possible in their erotic lives. We touch on so many amazing topics within the kink realm, like what is kink? What is conscious kink? How can it be incorporated in healing past experiences? And even just broadening your exploration to enjoy more pleasure. There are so many great tips throughout this episode, and Kimi shares some amazing gifts with you towards the end, so be sure to listen. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to Intimacy Evolution with Brianna and Mark Carey, where they discuss desire, intimacy, and how to embrace the changes within your relationship. Brianna has been a sexual health educator for 14 years and is currently working as a relationship and intimacy coach. Mark is a licensed professional counselor and has been running his own private practice for 6 years. Together, they have 2 young kids and have dealt with the many ebbs and flows during their 15 years together. Intimacy evolves over time, and that's okay. Let's talk about it. Hello, and welcome to Intimacy Evolution. I am so thrilled to have a guest with us today, Kimi Inch, to talk to you about some super fun topics. So Kimi is a professional dominatrix. She is a sex-positive edutainer, a trauma-informed somatic therapist, and a motivational spanker. Oh my gosh, I love that. Welcome, Kimi.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, we are so excited to have you here and for you to just share all of the amazingness that you offer with our listeners. So, little background, we met Kimi back in April. You all have heard us talk about the couples retreat that we went to. We've recapped that. And then Mark touched on it about the men's retreat too. So he's gotten to see her twice now. I'm very jealous. And, and she's just, oh my gosh, a wealth of information. Kimi, please take it away.
Oh, thank you so much. I love that men's retreat. There's nothing like watching a room full of men flog each other and do it with so much heart and care.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful to see people sort of stepping out of their comfort zone for the sake of enjoyment and pleasure and learning. So yeah, that was a really fun retreat. And it's just such a privilege really to be able to talk about kink, because so often a lot of people have a sort of idea of what kink is. And a lot of people will say, well, I'm not kinky, and I let them know, like, even if you don't consider yourself kinky, there could be something for you in kink, because kink is a representation of universal themes in life. Some of those universal themes are like, surrender, power, pain, pleasure, creativity, trust, communication. Like there's these themes within kink that are universal and valuable for all humans, really. So you don't have to consider yourself to be kinky in order to get some value out of what kink has to offer. And sometimes I just want to let your audience know that the definition of kink that I have maybe differs from what you would expect. And it's inspired by Jaya Ma, who created the erotic blueprints. But being kinky or kink is essentially being turned on by what you or society considers to be taboo. So that's very subjective, and that can be different from person to person, depending on religious backgrounds, culture, upbringings, programming, conditioning, all of those sort of things. But if there's something or somewhere in your life that you feel is sort of on the erotic side, but also kind of feels naughty or taboo or something you just wouldn't easily talk about with just anyone, chance you just might be a little bit kinky yourself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that description. And yes, I love that you touched on the erotic blueprints there too, because we've talked about that previously. And I know sometimes like I am a kinky and blueprint. And I know sometimes talking to others when they take the quiz, they're like, I'm kinky, but like, I'm not into like that stuff or what, they have that preconceived idea of kinky. And I'm like, no, there's so much more to it. And so I love that. I just love that definition. And so, oh my gosh, I don't want to cut you off. I also have questions. So please feel free to share your work. Okay.
Yeah. The work I've been doing, it really was born from, being exposed to these taboo essences when I was a kid and realizing, wow, for me, sex just didn't feel fulfilling, just this traditional idea of sex, which is, slot A into slot B equals orgasm. And don't get me wrong, I do like that also, but that can't just be the end all be all for me. And even at a young age, I was like coming up with these ideas of how to bring more creativity into the bedroom. But I felt so weird because a lot of my partners were sort of mystified. Like, why do you need all this weird shit to bring into the bedroom? And it wasn't until I started to get exposed to the kink scene, the sort of lifestyle, like, oh, it's okay to be kinky. And it's really, you can make it whatever you want it to be. And in my work, it sort of goes beyond just sort of this pleasurable exchange. It actually can go into some healing spaces. It can go into shadow work and supporting people in their desires and helping them release shame. And like, it can be a lot of different things. So there's like a sort of spectrum of what kink can provide. And I also think it's sort of this antidote to the hookup culture, because so often we want to have these like physical, visceral experiences with people, but maybe we don't want to have sex. And kink offers a sort of halfway step that doesn't have to necessarily be penetrative or genitally focused interactions. It can be totally erotic, mental, emotional, physical, but not necessarily penetrative. And I just think that's an amazing opportunity for people to explore,
I love that so much because yes, you're right. Like that is, so Mark, like I have a story, like a client that he had worked with, like, she's like, I'm tired of the hookup culture. Like, I don't want to just go have a one night stand because I don't get anything out of it. It's not enjoyable. And so we talked to her, about different opportunities or ways to explore like lifestyle and, talking to a polyamory couple, different ways that, because your pleasure is going to be taken into consideration in those aspects. Whereas if you go try to hook up off of a dating app, most likely your pleasure is not going to be at the forefront of that. And, you're not going to be able to feel comfortable voicing what you would like, your wants, desires, and things like that. So I love that that's a nice in-between space for people too.
Brianna, I have to tell you a quick story. I went through a breakup of several months ago, and I was kind of like, I haven't been on a dating app in a really long time, but I was like, let's give it a try. I'm on Tinder. I swipe right on someone and they message me instantly. It's like 11 p.m. And he's like, hey, do you want to hook up? And his pictures were really cute. And I was like, let's play with this little guy here. And I'm like, so I'm interested. Tell me a bit about your experience and education in the erotic. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I'm curious. Are you trained in Tantra? Do you have an understanding around conscious kink? Like, what's your history with all of these sort of things? And he's like, don't worry, baby. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, listen, you don't know who you're talking to, babe. I'm a I'm a tantrika. I'm a dominatrix. I have 20 years of erotic experience and education under my belt. And I couldn't possibly fathom just doing some random hookup with a guy that hasn't been sort of educated in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Needless to say, it didn't work out. We did not meet, but it was such a funny conversation because I was actually like, I wouldn't be opposed to, an anonymous hookup scenario if I felt like my partner were able to really meet me and actually had the credentials and the understanding under his belt. I could actually maybe get down with that, but it's very rare that that's the case, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Very singular focused in that for sure. So
I said on my website, I was like, come to one of my classes. Like, like you're able to, gain so much more. And women might be interested in this like hookup scenario if they actually think you have some sort of talent in the arena.
Exactly.
Or
you have something to
hit
offer.
it and quit it, So
I love that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I love that you're trained in somatics.
Yeah.
And you touched on how kink can be healing. Can we expand on that some more? Like the kink, the somatics, and all of that.
Absolutely. What's really popular or big right now, and rightfully so, I think it's a beautiful space that's being explored are these medicine spaces, right? Like I'm talking about psilocybin and MDMA and ketamine and these sort of outside influences that can be brought into healing spaces to help people, be more in touch with themselves, pattern interruptions, to, connect them to a sense of oneness and more infinite possibility than maybe what they're connected to before. All of these sort of things are being talked about more widely. And, recently I've also been sort of on that circuit of these medicine journeys, but I'm talking about the medicine of Eros. And Eros is not a medicine that you take that's outside of yourself. Eros is our medicine within. Yeah. So in the medicine spaces, that I do, it's an erotic space that's done in an intentional, purposeful way where people can actually still experience what you would experience on some level with psilocybin, et cetera, because there's something called dom space and subspace where you're in this euphoric, beautiful space that replicates a lot of the symptoms that you get out of medicine, but it's all internal. And it actually can't be achieved without this relational aspect that's in kink, where I have to trust, I have to be safe. Like you don't necessarily have to trust and be safe when you take mushrooms. You're still going to get blasted off into another realm.
Right.
And kink, it doesn't work like that. In kink, you actually have to feel safe and you need a regulated nervous system so that you can actually reach those levels of expansion. So it actually teaches a person how to really connect to their ability to communicate their desires and their boundaries and to be able to trust another human, which is really valuable for a lot of people who are struggling with their erotic lives and struggling in relationships. So it's been compared, these sort of conscious kink journeys that I'm doing have been compared to medicine journeys because you get so much out of it, but it's again, like it's really an embodied experience. You're in this realm, you're on this plane, you're having an embodied experience with a fellow human that teaches you about yourself, but also gives you the tools you need to create more of what you want in this world.
So good. And we got to witness a little bit of that at the couples retreat between you and Casey. You were kind of expressing and sharing with us, a room of 16 people, 8 couples. Wow. And it was literally like you were the only 2 in the room. The bubble that you created between you, and it was literally just energy exchange. Eyes were locked. Like it was it just felt very heartfelt. It was magnetizing to watch. Like you couldn't look away from it. And then you also created a space between another couple. And so you were demonstrating with her and had them lock eyes. And we've talked about that on the previous podcast as well. And just, there wasn't a dry eye in that room after that experience. And again, witnessing that container that you created between the 2 of them, even though you were the one that was leading, it was a space for them that created so much safety and vulnerability. And like, I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about it again, because it was so beautiful and so powerful. And something that I find a lot, especially with working with women, for me, and then also with couples, like we're just so disconnected from our bodies as a society. We are not taught to listen and honor our body, especially women. And, with our menstrual cycles, like it's painful. Well, that's just how it is. You're a woman, we're having other issues, or we have babies and there's things afterwards that, painful sex. Well, that's just how it is. It'll get better. Use more lube. Like we are taught to disconnect from our bodies. Mm-hmm. And so the fact that you are helping people get into their bodies, get connected so that way they can fully enjoy pleasure, sometimes maybe for the first time. That's powerful.
It's such a courageous act as well that I think people take for granted to actually step into that space of vulnerability. I work with a lot of clients who tell me that they're struggling because they feel like they have to drink a bunch of alcohol or do drugs or do these things in order to have some sort of pleasure sexually or to feel comfortable in their bodies. And there's like this way in this digital era that we become more and more sort of disconnected to the wisdom of our bodies. But there's where our medicine lies. And it's, I feel like the powers that be don't really want us to have access to that potential because you can't make a lot of money off of really healthy, happy people who have a real understanding that they have everything they need within themselves to have the pleasure that they deserve. And that, and that they don't need anything outside of themselves. You can't really control people like that. So it's so important to create these safe spaces because safety is foundational to pleasure and be able to allow people to really experience what's possible. I mean, when we're taught in school about sex, it's like, don't get pregnant, don't get STDs. That's it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it, you know what? And it fucking breaks my heart that we're sort of trained to believe that sex is nothing more than fast food at the end of the day. Like it's there, you're hungry. Okay, here's some food to calm you down and to satisfy you for this short-lived period of time until you're hungry again. And I want to say, like, I have nothing against fast food. I love In-N-Out Burger every once in a while, but I don't want to live off of In-N-Out Burger. I don't want to live off of fast food. And I want people to learn that, it can be the banquet. It can be the 3 Michelin starred experience that you deserve, but you've been taught that it's not possible, or you haven't been exposed to that through the media, through our education and through our past play partners, but it is possible.
I fucking love that analogy so much. Like my mind is literally just like wrapping around that right now. Like, yes, we are taught that sex is fast food. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And like you said, it can be a nice, luxurious experience.
Of course. Dinner with the best wine and the finest ingredients and service that is just, immaculate. Yeah, of course. It can be all those things. It can be whatever you want it to be.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And I feel like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm just going to let that set for a second and compose myself.
I love that.
Yeah. So you work with couples. You talked about conscious kink journeys. Correct. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So, for those who may not have a complete understanding, but the difference between kink and conscious kink, I gave a definition earlier around kink, but conscious kink has that element of kink within it, of course, but it's pursued and experienced in a way that's more purposeful and intentional and embodied. So it still can be highly pleasurable, but conscious kink is like being really aware of why we're doing what we're doing and what it's for. And when I created these conscious kink journeys, it's sort of that medicine ceremonial space that I was talking about earlier. But when I work with couples in that space, it can look a lot of different ways. Like I work with a lot of couples that want to have a really up close and personal learning experience with a trained expert where they can actually learn and have pleasure at the same time. So for example, if there was a hetero couple that came to see me and the man wanted to step more into his dominance and the feminine wanted to step more into her submissiveness, we can create a scene where that could be supported and I could co-lead with the man to show him some more depth and insights to those techniques and also give the woman a sense of feeling that she can really surrender and have them have these bodily visceral experiences of what's possible that they get to take home and expand upon at their own pace, at their own time. I've also done it where it's been both couples have been the follower/submissives. They wanted to both experience it at the same time. Yeah. And I've had sessions where we all kind of well, I always stay the dominant, but they all kind of switch in between. And it's like being able to, expand, have pleasure, learn. It sort of ticks a lot of boxes so that people can have, especially those that are more kinetic, that are not just like, I'll read a book and I'll get it. Like that's very rare that someone can just read a book and know how to do these things. But when you're actually in it and you're experiencing it and you're getting support around it and it's fun and your body's reacting in really positive ways, that's going to help it sink into your tissue, into your body a lot more. And it sparks your imagination to be like, wow, if I can do this here, if I can be this connected to my partner here, or I can have this much pleasure or feel this powerful or feel this free, I can do it anywhere. Like I actually can. I had an experience in this medicine space or in this erotic space that felt so good. Why can't I bring some of that outside into my work life, into the friendships that I have? Why can't I bring it into the rest of my life? Sometimes people just need to have that experience that it's possible so that they can actually feel it and be like, wow, I want more of this in other arenas. Like I get to be creative outside of this space. I get to have pleasure outside of the erotic. I get to have deep connection and intimacy outside of sex. It's a really amazing experience for couples. It just takes them to really deep places. And it's such a beautiful and exciting place to be with them in.
That is beautiful. And something else that I don't know if I heard this from a previous podcast that you were on, or it can also help, like, again, with the healing. And you said there's shadow work and things like that as well, helping an individual. Again, I'm going more towards women because I kind of think about things that we experience in life, almost a reclamation of their power. Maybe certain situations that they've been in, or they didn't get to use their voice.
Absolutely.
And they can use that in this space. They can be safe, they can be encouraged, and taking that part of themselves back from a previous, Am I saying that right? Okay.
You got it. You got it, Brianna. Yeah. Because I don't work with just couples. I work with individuals. And if there has been maybe some trauma, big T or little t trauma, is possible, or just something that maybe didn't feel good, there's a way that we can be creative in bringing that into the scene. It could be anything from, I had this one session with a woman who was very sexually repressed because when she was first discovering her body and the potential for pleasure it had around 4 years old, it's very normal for children to be like curious about their bodies. And so, she was masturbating at this age. And if her mother ever caught her, she would be beaten, she would be scolded, she would be punished. And all of these sort of things. And she believed that, later in her life, it kind of kept her from feeling sexually expressed and to feel free in those spaces. And we created a scenario where she was able to like sort of express her body's pleasure. And I was sort of there as the guide, as the dom, but the dom that's like giving a lot of praise and giving a lot of encouragement and actually like, celebrating her and her body and her freedom and this and that. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I've also worked with women who are like maybe trapped in a pattern where they're chasing emotionally unavailable men, or they're like they're the anxious attachment style and they're the avoidant. The man or the woman or whatever is the avoidant. And we'll actually create a scene where it's like, let's try this on, where I'm going to either like really tease you, but never give you what you want. And you're going to be immobilized. Maybe you'll be tied up. And I want you to feel like that longing and that desire and that like, the excitement you get from it as well. If we can actually transmute the pain of the reality and transmute it into pleasure in the erotic and in the fantasy world, then you can actually start looking at a way of creating more choice in your life. Instead of just being like, I'm bad, this sucks, this is awful. You start to be like, whoa, I'm seeing that there's something here that I am getting out of. I'm getting something out of this situation that doesn't feel good. I'm getting something that is meeting some old belief system that doesn't serve me anymore. How do I bring that into consciousness, have a new experience of it that's pleasurable, and then set out to change it with that consciousness? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
It's
yes,
cool.
yes.
Yeah. It's
so
really
good. So good. So needed.
Oh my gosh.
This is,
Yeah. I'm a somatic therapist, but I chose not to get licensed. I feel like the lack of physical touch is such a tough place for people, especially when it comes to those that have struggles or obstacles related to erotic and sexuality and relationships and all that. So it's so important to be able to have a safe space where consensual physical touch can be possible, and some form of consensual erotic touch that's been agreed upon and planned and worked up to can be possible as well. So you're right. So people can reclaim their yeses and to be able to say, this is what works for me and I get to stop it at any time. I have choice here.
Yeah. Which is so very important, so needed. And like you said, like that, obviously that can be impacting their relationship and how they show up with their partner. And, so when working with couples, do you find that there's kind of a common theme or a hurdle that couples are trying to overcome when they come to you?
That's a good question. I've had a big variety, but I had noticed a lot of the time when couples book with me, there might be one that's really gung-ho and is like, let's do this. I'm so excited. The gender is always different. Sometimes it's if it's a hetero couple, sometimes it's the man, sometimes it's the woman. If it's the same sex, it could be one or the other. And the other one is kind of like, well, I'm along. I'm here. I'm showing up. Okay. Yeah. I guess I'll stay open, and I get that sometimes with these couples, and it's like taking a look at where that disconnect is, because we're talking to our couples, we're talking about like, how do we create a situation where both partners are leaning in? So it's not an energy exchange that feels off, or one's leaning in, one's leaning out, both are leaning out, like, et cetera. Like there's a bit of equality around the lean in when it comes to their erotic space. Because some people are like, I don't want to do the dominant, like, I don't want to step into dominance because they have a story that it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff. I don't know. I don't have the energy. I work so hard. I'm taking care of the kids. I'm at the office all day. The last thing I wanted to do is come home to this big production. There's a story there. Yeah. Same thing on the other side. Like, I don't want to be follower. Like, why does it have to be complicated? Can't we just like have sex and go to bed early so we can get up early tomorrow? Like there's these stories happening around like what this can look like. So it's really fun to work with couples, no matter where they are in that dynamic, to show them like, let's illuminate what's happening now and what that dynamic looks like now and what would we want ultimately. Like if your erotic life could be highly pleasurable, but also full of ease, like would that feel good to you? Like, and how can we bring elements of creativity into your dynamic so that it's going to have some novelty that will ignite the passion between you, but maybe require a lot of production in order to do so. And how do we come at this of like, if you like dancing, for example, I think about kink, like a kink scene, like a dance, there's usually a leader, there's usually a follower, and both are needed to create that dance. But in a partner dance, like tango, for example, there's a point where the man will be leading, which is traditional, and he'll be sort of, twirling the woman around and dipping her or whatever those things are. And next thing you know, the woman smacks the guy in the face. And it's also like, I have power too, homie, so there's this idea, like, don't get this locked in fixed idea of what it's supposed to look like, because it doesn't necessarily have to be, oh God, I'm dominant, so I have to always do this, and you're submissive, you always have to do this. Like, how do we come to
not scripted,
collaborative? So let's be collaborative and work together to see what are our hell yeses and how does everybody win? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's me, Mark. I wanted to jump on here and share a quick little story for you. In the past year or so, I've been on the path of working with coaches and mentors, both on the one-on-one and in group settings, which has impacted the way I show up in my everyday life and ultimately helped to make big, lasting changes. My health is better. I'm down 10 pounds and feeling great. I have a deeper connection in my relationship with my wife, our kids, my friends and family. And I've made this big shift in my career, starting the transition from therapy into coaching. And with that said, I'm excited to offer support to the men out there who are looking to make some big changes in their life, whether it be in your relationship, your health, or your career, or maybe some of everything. If you're really ready to show up for yourself, to be supported in achieving your goals, I have 2 ways you can work with me. One-on-one VIP coaching experience. This is for you if you're looking to make big changes quickly. I'm here to help you and guide you and keep you accountable. I also have a men's group coaching program where you get to meet other men that are also stepping up to embrace their masculine and who are ready to make an impact on their lives. Links to both are in the show notes. I look forward to working with you.
You know, you touched on a few things. So we do work with a lot of parents as well. And so with that, you touched right on it about the exhaustion, or like, okay, this is just one more thing I have to add to my plate. I have to now get creative. I have to put on this outfit. I have to do all these things. And it doesn't have to be like that.
Totally.
It can be simple. So I love the word you said, we can be creative and it can be with ease. And so you can still be enjoyable. And then, if you don't have the kids one night, they go hang out with the grandparents. Like, you can have a big production if you choose to, if that is what you both would like. So that kind of leads me into like, where can couples start incorporating kink into their life, their play, the bedroom, whatever?
Yeah. And I love this question because, again, we get to go back to the curiosity, which is interesting because, I talk a lot about Tantra, and Tantra talks about the chakras. And when we talk about creativity is related to our second chakra, which is our genitals, which is also related to sexuality. So it's kind of interesting. If you're in healthy alignment with your sexuality, you're going to have access to creativity really naturally. It's funny, I'm going to be speaking at South by Southwest. I'm going to actually be talking to these tech geniuses about the importance of sexuality in order to be creative in your work. So
that is amazing. I love that so
super, super cool. So like getting connected to your creativity and learning a bit about your desires. I am going to be sharing a gift with your audience that is called the Kink checklist. And the Kink checklist is a list of possibilities of what could be explored in an erotic space. I just want your audience to know that it's not a complete list, because there's infinite possibilities of what could be explored. And I don't want to send you all a dictionary-sized document, but I'm going to be giving some of the details around the most popular things that tend to be discussed and explored in an erotic space. If you take this list and print it out, you have a couple of options. You can start with it being just yourself if you want. Go through the list and notice what happens in your body when you start to explore this idea of what could be explored. Like, do some of these things feel scary? Do some of these things feel exhilarating? And get sort of an understanding around it. Or if you are in partnership, you can sit down with your partner and create like a fun date night to have a conversation around like, what if we could have it our way, like what would it look like? And here's some possibilities. Would you be interested in going through this list with me? And I want to just let people know, like, don't think of this as a chore. Like, so often I get these couples that are like, okay, let's sit down and do this kink checklist, honey. Kimmy said we should do, like, no. Like, sit down with this list and go through the items and feel into like, oh my gosh, what would it be like to try some spanking? And who are available for spanking, like, tell me what an ideal scenario would look like for you. Like, are you imagining me as a naughty schoolgirl that you asked to stay after class and you're going to punish me if I don't start improving on my grades? Or do you want to use spanking as a way to move energy in our bodies so that when we're actually making an impact with the glutes, with the buttocks, it's activating our root chakra, which is connected to money, wealth, security, safety, and it's opening up those channels. I mean, like, think about that difference, right? We can do kinky, sexy punishment, or we can do this esoteric, like expansive, spiritual awakening sort of practice. Like, we actually get to decide what feels really delicious. And I like to remind people of that when they're talking to their partners who are tired, who have a lot on their plate, who have a lot going on around like, wow, how could the erotic serve us to energize our bodies or to help relieve the stress that we're feeling? Because so often when we're stressed and we're overwhelmed, we really lose connection to not only sexuality, but to creativity. We go into survival mode. But if we're able to carve out a little time to reconnect to our sexuality, which helps us connect to our creativity, I have to tell you, like, when people ask me, what's the secret to having everything you want in life? My answer is creativity. Like, being able to have everything you want in life boils down to being able to access your creativity and how to navigate every obstacle and every sort of thing that's coming across your path in the best way possible. So if you're able to keep the channels of sexuality open, you're actually going to have more resources towards creativity so that you can manage the shit that's on your plate and that's coming at you all the time.
Oh my gosh. I just had a lot come through with that.
Yeah. It's kind of wild. Like I said, it's not fast food, babies. Like, that's the thing. Like, let's get out of that head frame right now and actually realize, like, it's part of our birthright. And how do we use sex or the erotic or that connection to actually serve us and what's happening in our lives, and not feel like another chore, not feel like a burden, but it's like, oh, this is like getting a massage, or like, it's like having some meditation time. This is actually going to help me. This is going to actually help me show up in the world in the way that I want to show up, and see if we can shift our perception around what this all means.
Yeah. I would love to go into like another tangent of that real quick, because you talking about shifting the perception. So, and I'm going to the mindset of women exhausted, not in touch with their bodies. Yeah. What are some things that they can do by themselves for women to tap into their power and exploring this kink side of themselves and incorporating more of that for their self-pleasure practice?
Yes, beautiful question. I love doing sensual movements that really wake up the pelvic energy in my body. So the area that's considered the second chakra, which is the womb, the genitals, the front and back of those areas are considered that pelvic area. And being able to sort of move sensually with our bodies and really moving our hips and activating that area within ourselves can really help open up those channels. So I like to, before I even go into a self-pleasuring practice, I like to set the room and make it look beautiful and sensual and just perfect for me. I get on the bed and I kneel on the bed with a bunch of pillows in between my legs. And the pillows aren't necessarily to create friction. It's just to give me support on my root chakra. And it also helps relieve any pressure on my knees. But when I'm like sitting on the bed, on my knees, playing some sensual, sexy music, I'm just starting to move my hips in one direction, move my hips in the other direction. I start to bring some physical touch as I move. I'm breathing, I'm rolling my neck, I'm moving my shoulders, and I'm just really creating some really sensual movements that are just for me and like really arousing the Eros energy within my own body. I talked about the Eros energy earlier being medicine.
Yeah.
Eros energy, that's a Latin word that's connected to erotic, and people normally associate it with sexual energy, but it's just that life force energy at the end of the day. It's the life force energy that we all have. It's our power. It's our creativity. So I'll take a moment, I'll put on a couple of sexy songs, and I'll kind of turn myself on by arousing my Eros energy that's literally just for me, and moving my pelvic and my hips and getting sort of connected to my yoni before I even move into the self-pleasuring aspect of things. That way, energy is dispersed throughout my body. And if I do go into a self-pleasuring, experience, I'll be able to have more access to pleasure because it's going to be moving all throughout me, not just concentrated in the genitals.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's bringing something else up. I can't remember where we heard this, but yeah, talking about how we do keep that sexual energy focused in the pelvis and practicing and learning how to disperse that throughout the entire body. I can't remember where we heard that, but that just reminded me of that. And that's amazing. Also, you guys, Kimi has amazing playlists. Like she always shares stuff on her Instagram too, like songs of the week, which are amazing. So
you check it out. Yeah. It's on my Spotify under my name, Kimi Inch.
Sexy playlist. Go check it out. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Every week we're like, oh, add that.
Hey, thank you. That feels good. I love sharing sexy music.
Yeah. And because it makes a difference. Like,
Yes. Oh my gosh.
It does. It moves your body. It gets you in the mood, like the right mindset. It just helps you flip that switch a little bit. And I always say, like, women, we have like the web browser, 25 tabs open in our head all the time. And
Yeah.
music
Totally.
can help you hush that noise.
It's so interesting when people think about kink, they don't necessarily think how it can be sensual, but I'll even go beyond sensual. You can make it super romantic if you want as well. Like I create my place space in a way that's really visually stunning and really sensual. So the candles and the music and, leading and being connected to my heart. And leading with love, whether I'm in a romantic relationship with that person or not is besides the point. It's really bringing that care and that presence to that person. And it can actually feel like romance. Like you can make it feel like this romance sort of experience that's very different than what the media portrays as this like hardcore and intense and like the bitchy woman in head to toe leather and the narcissist, abusive man who is devoid of love and just takes what he wants, like all of that stuff is not a representation of what's possible. And you can actually make it really sensual, really, romantic even. So like, continue to like explore more of like, what are the things that I really love and how can I sort of infuse them into the activities that are available on the kink checklist and things that we can explore. Just because something on the list says spanking, you can make that as light and playful as you want, or as hard and intense as you want. Same thing with dirty talk, same thing with every single activity. You get to choose the spectrum in which you want to explore it in. So that's important for people to know as well. It's like not just the activities, but what level of intensity do we want to experience it? And what would make it feel like the most optimal experience? Because it doesn't have to be, like I said earlier, a punishment. It doesn't have to be this or that. It can really be what we want.
Oh my gosh. I love how I think that just rounds it out so beautifully. Talking about, because again, like we talked about at the very beginning, the perception of what kink is, you just said, it's like this woman in leather that are, beating somebody. But when really the premise is the dom leader creating a safe space for the sub or follower. And like you said, leading them in this scenario, a lot of the times they're not, how am I wanting to say this? It's not them dictating the situation. They're not being domineering and controlling. It is, you could probably sum it up a lot more eloquently, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Like that's the perception a lot of people think is like the dominatrix is just like doing this, and that's not it.
That isn't. It's so funny because like I was talking to someone, I've been doing this work for 20 years and I have noticed like the more healing a person has done and the more integration a person has done on that healing path, I've noticed a few things in how it shows up erotically. And I've noticed quite often ideals and perceptions that were once fixed on what things are supposed to look like and what my desires are actually become more and more fluid and open. So those that are like, I'm a dom and I would never like submit to anyone, I've heard that before many times. I've noticed even those people that have sort of like a fixed idea of what role they want to be in, when they do more integration and healing within themselves, they're like, I actually want to experience surrender. I actually want to know what it feels like for someone to take care of my needs and to let me feel like I don't actually have to do to have value, that I actually am worthy of pleasure and to just be. And I've noticed like, the more and more people are like interested in stepping into their sort of switch energy, which switch means just switching in between those two extremes. And that they're like, hey, like I actually like have an idea that I want to experience all that life has to offer. And I actually feel more available to it. So it doesn't actually have to look a certain way. I might end up having a preference that's more inclined towards one over the other, but I'm no longer like locked into things anymore. I have more access to more possibility, more choice, more pleasure, more experiences. And that's really exciting to see that evolution happen for people. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I knew you could word it way better than I was.
It's sort of my life's passion and the thing I think about constantly.
And I just hope, I hope that this opened up just some curiosity and brought some awareness to this topic for more people, and invites them to explore a little bit more about what that might look like for them personally or within their relationship, and just kind of lean into that curiosity more. And so I'm just so grateful you joined us today. Like, are there any last words or thoughts that you would like to share? And then I know you have some other things that you would like to offer besides the kink checklist too.
Yeah, it's really important to me to let people know if they're not aware, or to remind people if they've forgotten, that we don't have to do this life by ourselves. And even if you're in a partnership and you have a partner, you actually don't have to do this alone in your relationship even. Like, there is so many resources these days, and there is so much access to support as you're on this path, because, connection and relational experiences are so important to us as human beings. Like, we're relational creatures, and to think that, you should just know things and that you should just like have this already figured out is just really unfair to you. And to like remind people, like, there is help, there is support. There's people like me that want, and people like you, Brianna, that want to serve others and helping them step into their wholeness and helping them step into their fullest potential. So like, just a reminder, like, just remember, no matter what, like, at the end of the day, you're not alone, even if this feels like a very personal journey, and that there is help and support.
Yeah. Thank you. That was beautiful. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So can we please share with everybody,
Yes.
you have an offer and where everybody can find you and connect.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I'm very passionate about the idea of erotic leadership, which is also known as Dom or TOPS or things like that. And the erotic leadership is more about what is experienced in an erotic space and how to bring that outside of the bedroom. So I've created a 6-month program for people who are interested in learning erotic leadership in and out of the bedroom. Those that want to bring that into their relationships, those that want to bring that to their mentorship work or their healing work or wellness work that they're doing in the world. And for people that maybe want to have a career in the erotic or in BDSM. So it's for a lot of different people, depending on your style. But we really go into these concepts of like, what is healthy leadership and what is the tools and skills you need in order to create the erotic life of your dreams, and to help others create the erotic lives of their dreams. So, when you're moving from a healthy space of leadership and from healthy power, you actually connect others to their healthy power. And you give them permission to really expand and be bigger than they ever thought was possible. So that starts in March. And we're going to be sure to give you that link so that you have access to it for your audience. And I'm going to make sure you guys get a special discount code for your audience. So if anyone that has heard this show on your site, they'll get a special discount that won't be available to other people. So
thank you.
That's our gift to you. And then of course, I'll be giving you the kink checklist, which is absolutely free for people to download. I'll give you the link to that. And I'm available at my website, which is KimiInch.com. It's KIMIINCH.com. And there you'll find more information about my conscious kink journeys, working with me privately, and my events that are going to be coming up.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. I'm definitely going to be checking that out myself. Mark and I have been talking about some sort of way that we want to come and work with you in the future for sure. And so we're very excited. Make another trip to Austin. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I would love that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kimi, for everything. It was wonderful talking with you. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you found this helpful, entertaining, or both, please take a quick minute to give a rating and review. That would mean the world to us, and it helps other beautiful humans to find our show. We'll see you next week.